My name's Larry Jackson. I'm a Republican running for West Virginia's 1st Congressional District for the U.S. House of Representatives against incumbent Carol Miller. Um, I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We married right out of high school, met in high school. We've got 6 kids together. I'm a lifelong resident here of Wyoming County, West Virginia, southern West Virginia, born and raised here. Um, I am American first. I do support President Trump and his agenda to put America first and to make America great again. Um, I believe there should be term limits. That this was never meant to be a lifelong career like a lot of people have made it. And again, I want to thank you all for tuning in this evening. My website is www.jackson4forwv.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Jackson4WV. Or you can email us, campaign team at jacksonforwv.com. Also, if you go to the website, jackson4wv.com, you can sign up for the emails that we send. You can donate, volunteer, help any way you can. I ask that you visit my Facebook page, share it, help me get my followers up. Um, one of the big things with me, and the reason that I'm running, I feel that we have been forgotten far too long. There's too many, you know, I encourage any of you to try and reach out to Carol Miller's office, and see what happens. You're probably going to get told that the same that I've been told and everybody else that I know. You're going to be told that we'll call you back. She's busy. She's here. She's there. Whatever. And you're going to get an excuse, but you're never going to get that phone call back. So constituent services is a big goal for me. It's a big topic. I want to hear from you, the public. After all, if I don't know what you're facing, how am I gonna help you if I don't know what you're facing? I encourage you to reach out to me, share your issues, your concerns, whatever it is you're facing, going through. Again, if you're not sharing them with me, if you're not letting me know, then I can't address those issues. So I'm definitely not. I'm going to be different in that aspect. You call my office, you will get in contact with me. Now I can't guarantee that it'll be that day. It may be the next day or a day or two later, but you will hear from me. You will get a call back from me. Um, at this point, what do you have to lose? You really don't have anything to lose at this point. Again, I'm 42 years old. This is my first time running for office. It's definitely a new thing for me. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner. I built this business from the ground up, Eastern Equipment. I built it from the ground up. I started 8 years ago. I came from poverty. I wasn't born and raised into a wealthy family that was born into politics and with a silver spoon in their mouth. That's not me. I resonate with the people. I connect with the people. I like to give back to my community whenever I possibly can. I used to be a volunteer firefighter. I worked on an ambulance straight out of high school for quite some time. And I just don't like, again, with 6 children, I just don't like the way this country's heading. That's the reason that I'm in this race. I can't, as I tell a lot of people that I meet, I can't sit and complain about the issues we're facing if I'm not willing to stand up and do something about it. And I have to try and leave my children, grandchildren, your children, grandchildren in a better place than where we are now. So again, that's a little about me. I do support the county GOP committees. I'd ask that you support them. They do good work. I've been to several. I will continue to go to their meetings. I've got several scheduled throughout Southern West Virginia here next month, just month of May. Um, I'll be meeting with more, and I encourage you all to get active with your county parties. Rural healthcare. Let's there's a 4 or 5 points here that I want to touch on real quick tonight. Rural healthcare is a big one. Um, and as we all can see, if we look at Carol's Facebook page, she really all she talks about is rural healthcare. You'll see her taking pictures at the some of the rural hospitals. She was actually a few days ago at Princeton Community Hospital, which has been taken over by WVU Medicine. That's actually the hospital I was born at. I was there, I think it was Saturday. I was up in the community and stopped by there for just a minute. But rural health care, she talks about it a lot, but what has she done? Nothing that I can tell you firsthand. I live in an area, it's 45 minutes to the nearest hospital, and even the nearest hospital, it's 45 minutes away, but they can't do much for you. They're more or less a Band-Aid station. If you've got something minor, they can address that. If it's anything more serious, they have to transfer you on to Charleston, Huntington, Morgantown, Pikeville, Kentucky, one of the bigger hospitals. So, I'm 45 minutes. I think I'm real good to talk about the rural health care portion. Again, I'm 45 minutes to the nearest hospital. So, heaven forbid, me or one of my children or what have you, family members in an accident, we're probably 10, 15 minutes waiting on an ambulance to get here. Then we're another 45 minutes to the hospital. So there's an hour. Um, they taught us back in EMT school, the golden hour. If you're in a vehicle accident or something, that first hour can be the difference in life and death. Well, your hour, the golden hour is up here where I'm at before you ever get to the ER. So, and that's a very basic ER. But we need to expand and improve rural health care, absolutely. Um, and I need to hear you, the public, I need to hear your thoughts, your concerns on how to exactly go about fixing that issue. I know the certificate of need, that's a big one. That, in my opinion, needs repealed. I've talked to several people about that. I don't feel that does anything but hurt us. So I'm against the certificate of need. But again, I need your input, the community. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your input. How do we fix these issues? Some are complex, some are common sense, but I'll always want your input in what I'm doing. I'm not going to jump in and say, well, I think they want me to do this, or I think they want me to do that. I want your input. I'm representing you, the people. The second one is the Second Amendment, which, we can all see it. That's no stranger. It's the Second Amendment. The U.S. Constitution, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, to us, that's common sense. It's pretty plain. Yet our lawmakers hasn't, since 1968, really, a little further back actually than that, really, they haven't understood that concept for some reason, and they have started stripping away the Second Amendment rights. Just a lot of common sense law that shouldn't be. They're not making laws and restricting your First Amendment or your Fourth Amendment or Fifth, Sixth, or so on. It's always the Second Amendment. That's the ones they're coming after. And I'm sure, as most of you being from Southern West Virginia or West Virginia in general, you like to hunt, you like your guns. So I'm sure that's something you're all aware of and I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on that one. I'm sure you're all aware of it. Courts are starting to work it out. I'm sure a lot of you've seen that President Trump is working it out, rolling back the regulations, the red tape, a lot of the nonsense going on with the Second Amendment. The Department of Justice announced, I think it was last week, or the week before, they've got the Second Amendment task force now that are going to go after these governments. They're going to loosen up on the laws that they have on the books currently. They are after, and Attorney General Bondi's made it clear, they are after the violent criminals. And that's what we need to be focused on in all reality. We don't need to be focused on the hunter or someone that has a gun and, maybe the barrel's too short and he doesn't really know all these laws. And, he wakes up the next day and he's now technically a felon if they walk in his house and find that gun because the barrel may be a little too short, by an inch or two. Again, our right to keep and bear arms that's founded in the Second Amendment is pretty clear. Now the courts, like I said, the courts and stuff are fixing this problem. President Trump's fixing this problem, but Congress needs to do a lot more. And as your next congressman, I intend to introduce legislation to repeal these gun laws. We need these gun laws off the books. After all, guns are not the problem. And if you can't see that, then I really don't know what to say. If you've got hatred in your heart, the want to kill in your heart, you're going to kill. Having a gun isn't going to make you or break you. You're going to kill. So guns are not the issue. The third thing that I want to touch on is water and infrastructure here in southern West Virginia. I've been over to Mingo County, our neighboring county, a couple times. They have water issues that is unbelievable. Wyoming County has water issues that's unbelievable. People doesn't have the very basic needs such as water. They're struggling. They're having to bring in water. The local fire department's distributing bottles of water, gallons of water. And in today's society, I can't wrap my mind around why this is even an issue. It's something that needs fixed. We're sending too much money overseas, taking care of everybody else, and us, the taxpayer that's footing the bill. If there's anything left, it's like our government saying, if there's anything left after we send money overseas, we'll help you out. So, I am a constitutionalist. I believe that less government is always more. We need government out of our everyday lives, period. We need them out. That's what the Constitution was for, to limit government, not the people. But again, we've got a lot of people in here now that just lack this common sense. The fourth thing I want to touch on is the weaponization of lawfare. Friends, let me tell you, it's alive and well. I'm sure you've all seen it with President Trump last year and leading up to his win in November. Well, let me assure you, friends, it's alive and well here in West Virginia. It's not so known because it's not, I'm not President Trump by any means. If I was, you'd know more what I'm talking about. But lawfare is very real here in West Virginia. It's going on right now with me. With the West Virginia DNR. So it's not just a national issue with lawfare. It is also a state and local issue. Don't think that it's not. Again, like President Trump, I'm a victim of an overzealous government agency, and I continue to fight them to this day. It's been 16 months now. I'll give you a little bit of background on that, just real quick. I don't want to hold you. I want to get to answering your questions. So, the DNR, I'd killed a deer in November of 23 with my bow. The DNR a month later received an anonymous complaint that I killed it with a rifle because it had a fighting wound on its head. They had absolutely no proof, nothing that that deer was killed with a rifle. We are in Wyoming County. It's a bow-only county. I did bow hunt, killed that deer with a bow because I've got some jealous people that just doesn't like me because I'm doing well. I'm in Southern West Virginia, and that's, I guess that's nationwide. That's everywhere, but especially here in Southern West Virginia. If you're doing well, I've always liked to say, and I heard it said once before, that people always like to see you do well, just not better than them. Do well, but just don't go beyond them. That's when they get upset. So that's kind of what's going on with me. I've built this business from the ground up. I'm very successful at it. I've got customers all over the nation, all over the world. And I've got a couple of neighbors that are just jealous and they cannot stand that. They cannot stand that I've came from where I came to where I am. So that's how the DNR got involved. They raided my home. They took my phone in December of 23. They raided my home. They took my phone. They took the deer. To this day, 16 going on 17 months later, they still have my phone, another violation of the Fourth Amendment. The West Virginia DNR still have my phone. They still have not took me to trial. We continue to ask them for discovery. They just continue to put it off, push us off, reschedule these hearings. So, that's kind of where we're at there. They have came back and offered me to plead guilty to a $20 ticket, and they would drop everything else. They would drop this whole thing. Now, I ask you, is that your tax dollars being well spent? That in itself screams very loudly. Finally, again, constituent services. I plan to put an office in Wyoming or McDowell County in the very southern part of the state. I want an office down here. Again, the three offices that Carol has in West Virginia is Huntington, Charleston, and Beckley. They're all right across 64, leading to 81, which takes her right to DC. She can hit all of the offices same day. She doesn't really care what we have to say. Constituent services is a big one. Again, it's where I'm going to interact with you, the people, to find out your concerns. What is it that you're facing? What problems are you having? What are you facing? Let me know so we can work on it and get it fixed. And with that, that's pretty much. There's a lot more, and I could sit here and probably speak all night, but I won't. That's a 5 big topics that I wanted to touch on real quick here tonight. So with that, I want to turn it over and let any of you that may have any questions go ahead and ask. But I'm a constitutionalist. I believe that we need more of the Constitution and less politics in our everyday lives. We need the government out of our lives. The more they're out of our lives, the happier we can live. So with that, I'd like to turn over and take some questions if any of you have any.
Yeah, so it's Patrick. Larry, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. And I just wanted to say, we're not a giant group. So if you have a question, if it's easier to just temporarily unmute yourself and ask a question, go ahead. I know a couple of you on here personally, John, Rick, Teresa, Kevin, Audra, who have run successfully for office, who have been successful in business. You're a like-minded group. So if you have questions or even suggestions for Larry, this is Larry's first time to run. So please feel free to any thoughts or suggestions you have, just unmute yourself and we can have a nice little discussion for a little bit.
Well, I will start with a question. First of all, if Larry would like one of these bumper stickers, it sounds like he's a match for As Government Grows, Freedom Recedes by Thomas Jefferson. as the constitutionalist that wants less government regulation and involvement over our lives, bumper sticker like this is a good way to send that message out. I have been involved in helping to promote that effort on a statewide basis. Has Larry signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge that Grover Norquist has been a strong advocate of on a national level?
He has not signed it yet, and I'll let him touch base. But I do want to bring. That's one of the things that's on our plan for later this summer, is either to do it at Kevin's meeting in Charleston, or even make a trip to DC to the Wednesday meeting, and let him meet Grover and sign that, because I just haven't had a chance to really bring that part up to him yet. You
Kevin
want to tell
does
him
a
about
great
it?
job in Charleston, and I'm sure he would feel honored to have Larry at one of his meetings and publicly sign it and get a photo of that.
Absolutely. You want to tell him a little bit about what it is?
It says that you will not have any increase in taxes. You will not vote for any net increase in taxes. So you make that pledge. There is a constant effort, especially with the other party, to raise taxes. And this is making a written statement that I will not vote for any net tax increases.
Well, sir, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, I would sign that right now if I had that in front of me. Not only am I for not raising taxes, I am for lowering taxes. Um, I would not sign anything that came across my desk that would raise taxes in any way.
And Larry, if you'd like one of these bumper
Yes, sir.
stickers, I'd be glad to mail one to you. It's it in 5 words. It expresses what the Republican philosophy is. As government grows, we lose our freedom. The government takes that freedom from us by how we spend our money, how we live our lives, the regulations they impose on us. And Jefferson, centuries ago, had it exactly right.
Yes, sir, and I definitely like that wording. That's very simple. You'll be seeing that in a lot of my posts from here on out. That is exactly what I'm running on. Exactly. That sums it up very, very well. We need to get back to the Constitution. The Constitution's purpose was to limit government, not the people. Yet we have people in office right now that just seem to lack common sense. It's truly amazing. It amazes me as just a father, a business owner, somebody living day to day, working, paying my bills like the average American. I'm working, I'm paying my bills, and I look at some of this stuff and I just scratch my head and I'm like, who's the idiot that came up with this, and what's it even for, and how does that help us? And so, yes, sir, I would very much like one of those.
I think the view of the other party is that they are smarter. They know how to live our lives better than we do, and that's why they want to take more of our money. They want to regulate different aspects of our lives. Is there anything in particular any issues that you see yourself with primary difference from Carol Miller?
What I've seen of her, and um, I was in DC. I'll give you a little bit of a story here. I was in DC back in the first week of December, and I reached out to her office, just wanted to introduce myself. Her chief of staff, I left my number. Her chief of staff texted me pretty quickly. And he said, yeah, we can set that up. It would be at a coffee shop or whatever. And I'm sorry, that's fine. I don't care where it is. But anyway, he did text me. I was there for, I think, 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. He texted me on a Thursday night, Thursday evening late. I was having dinner, and he asked me what time tomorrow I would be free. I said, anytime. Anytime that works for her is fine with me. I texted him that back, and to this day, I've not heard a word. So I think the thing that's going to set me apart from Carol is she's kind of just my view of her is just a go along sign. She did sign one of the Biden omnibus bills. I think it was in 23. So she just kind of goes whatever way the crowd's going. I am not one of those people. I would have voted against that. There was a lot of red flag laws for the Second Amendment guns. There was a lot of red flag laws in that. I think there was 12. So she voted for that. I would have never voted for that. I will stand up for the people always. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. I'm not going to go with the crowd, so to speak. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to bring what you, the people, tell me to do. I'm not, again, that's where constituent services is going to come in. I'm not going to get in, and then you're never going to hear from me again. So I think that's the biggest thing that's going to set me apart from her. The fact that I'm holding this event now, I've not heard anything from her other than the meetings that she's had with some of the rural hospital groups. That's all I've saw. So I think that's the things, and proactively introducing bills to repeal some of this stuff. Taxes, as you mentioned, we need to get the taxes lower. Congress needs to get up and get to moving and pass a law that cut the taxes for the American people and get it over to the president so he can get it signed into law, which I'm sure he would do. But Congress are not really doing much of anything as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I can see. They're just they're saying Trump's doing this and Trump's doing that. Well, yeah, we can see what Trump's doing. My question is, what are you doing? As a congresswoman, what are you doing? So I think that's the two very big differences that you want to see between me and her. One, I am very outspoken. You're going to see me. You're going to hear from me. I'm going to be very engaged in getting bills brought to the floor, introducing bills to try to get them through and get them to the president's desk. Whereas she just signs bills that comes along. She doesn't really do anything other than that.
So you would be having town hall meetings throughout the district, throughout the year if you were elected?
Yes, sir. I would be very much present in the communities that I represent because, again, I can't I can't bring your will forward if I don't know what your will is. So I would be very much in the district, yes.
All right, we have a couple more people joining us. Hello, Audra. Hello, Dee. Other questions, John? Thank you. If you have any more questions, I don't want to cut you off. You good, John?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Thank
Other
you.
questions, Steve?
Sir, real quick, I'll get you my address. I'll have Patrick give it to you. Patrick, if you don't care, go ahead and put it in the chat or however they can see that.
Well, I'll put it in the chat, and I'll also make sure I send it to them as well.
Okay,
I'll send in a private message on Facebook to them as well.
thank you. Steve, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. I have a stack of proof right here in my possession and I've been having nothing but headache getting contact with the governor, with Carol Miller, both mayors now, Ripley and Ravenswood, and I've been getting denied every step of the way. On any given night across the United States, there's over 30,000 homeless veterans. I looked it up, and in right here in West Virginia, there's 122. And the problem is they have no voices. I'm one of them. I have no voice. I've gotten turned away every which way. I mean, I'm getting squashed by elected officials. Just an idea, but anything, something to help all these homeless veterans. I mean, they're guys that, I mean, heck, I spent 3 years Army, and I didn't become a disabled veteran to sit here and not be able to do anything. and allow all these other crooked politicians. I've discussed it with you personally, with my issues with Kamala Harris stealing my house and Wells Fargo helping her in 2019, and nothing's gotten done with it. Nothing has gotten done with it since Ohio, when it happened, 2021 in Georgia, and West Virginia here. It wasn't even part of my plans. I mean, I just, let me try West Virginia. Just like I say, just thought maybe something to help the other 30,000 that don't have voices, veterans without voices. Maybe that can, be something.
Yes, and I look forward to being your voice, and a lot of the other disabled veterans. I'm friends with several veterans. They thank you for your service first. You went out and fought to help make this country what it is, and then to just the thought of you not being heard after your time is up with the service, it's just extremely disturbing to me. So, I look forward to being your voice, yours and others. Unlike our elected officials right now that doesn't they don't want to hear anything you've got to say. I'm willing to listen.
Well, I've got the information. All the crooked, corrupt Democrats that have been making the news. I can connect them like a spider web, but yet nobody's listening to me, and they're the reason why there's so many of us veterans getting put out on the street. I was made homeless twice, once in Ohio and once in Georgia, and it was Congressman Sanford Bishop, and also term limits. I agree with you on the term limits because I discovered Sanford Bishop. He's been the congressman for that district down in Georgia, the houses Fort Benning, since 1993.
Hmm. You know, when the Constitution was written the way it was, and again, I think there should be term limits, but the Constitution was written the way it was, especially for the House of Representatives. It's every 2 years. So the office that I'm seeking is every 2 years. And every 2 years, the voter has a say. Now, the way the Constitution was written and the way that it was set up is our founding fathers thought that, well, if the voters are unhappy, they're going to turn out and they're going to, in 2 years, they're going to replace the person. However, as I've looked over numbers, people, they do not vote. I think there's something like, I don't know, I don't have the paper in front of me, but there's something like 230,000 registered voters, 230,000 registered voters in the first district of West Virginia. In the midterm, the 2022 midterm, which we can compare those numbers of the 2022 midterm to the upcoming election. Of those 230, roughly 230,000 voters, I think it was like 48,000 is all that voted. 48,000 out of 230,000. Those numbers are staggering. But I can tell you, as a candidate, things are different now than what they were when our founding fathers put all of this into motion with the Constitution and everything. They didn't put term limits because, again, they gave that to the people. Every 2 years, the people had the choice to make. Well, over the course of time, it's extremely expensive now just to get your name in there, just to run. It's extremely expensive. That's something that a lot of people can't do just for the fact of the cost. A lot of people can't do it. So there's a lot of things that have changed since the founding. And I think for those reasons that we do need to have term limits, because these people, it's clear they're not term limiting themselves, which is something I do intend to do. I do intend to limit myself. But we absolutely need term limits. Again, we don't have enough, and that's something that I can't stress enough is voter turnout. We need to get voters out. If we got voters out, there would be a big change in what you're seeing. But yes, our veterans should always be a top priority. You know, again, they went out, they fought for our country, they gave us what we have today. They should always be a priority.
This is a story in the Huffington Post. Kamala Harris set to raise money with former Wells Fargo executive. The same Wells Fargo bank that stole my house in 2019. While they're putting me out on the street as a homeless veteran, they're raising money with Kamala Harris and joining her campaign. And I've been fighting in absolute from Ohio to Georgia to right here now. Not one lick of help at all from anybody, lawyers, newspapers. I've even contacted, tried to contact Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba. I tried contacting her New York office. Absolutely no luck. And I'm sitting here at home. I discovered on Facebook, I've got like 100 and some odd contacts. I've been reduced. I've lost a lot of friends, and I'm down to one follower on Facebook. And I'm sitting here. The walls are closing in around me, and I'm sitting here. It's like, what do I do?
Well, the buck stops somewhere. It absolutely stops somewhere. And that buck, as your next U.S. congressman, that buck will stop with me. If any of you have a problem, come to me. If I don't have the answers and I can't get the answers, we'll make it known. I'll be the representative that you have all been missing for quite some time in Congress.
All right. And Larry and Stephen, I'm going to ask you to take this after the meeting. We're down to our last 20 minutes. So I do want to make sure if anybody else has questions or concerns,
I'm good.
Stephen, your issue, I think, is going to be more than a 1 hour Zoom meeting can fix. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Larry.
Yes.
So any other questions, comments, concerns?
Not just questions. If any of you have any recommendations for me, I'd love to hear those, just your thoughts.
The quiet crowd. All right, Larry. Well, we won't keep the people. If you want to, do you have any closing words you want to put out there?
Again, I just ask that you all. First, I want to thank you all for tuning in and giving me, 45 minutes or an hour of your time. I know life's hectic, busy for all of us. I thank you all for tuning in. Again, I would just say that it's clear that the people aren't happy right now. So at this point, it's kind of like President Trump said in 2016, what do you have to lose? And at this point, that's kind of where we're at here in Southern West Virginia. What do we have to lose? We if you come south of Charleston, it's kind of like the line is drawn right there. You come south of Charleston. I don't know how many of you have been south of Charleston, but if you come south of Charleston, it's like you're coming into another world. Again, I'm a lifelong resident of Wyoming County. I know these issues. I can resonate with probably every single one of you. And I wouldn't care to come sit with everybody on here and sit with you around the dinner table and have dinner with you and a down to earth conversation. That's something that I can guarantee you the other party won't do. As a matter of fact, if you send me an invite and send me your address and tell me a time, I'll be there, and we'll sit down for a dinner. I guarantee that's something the other party will not do. Again, I want to be your voice. I want to make West Virginia a better place. Again, if any of you have any last minute questions or comments,
Yeah, I'd like to say, first of all, that competition is what keeps us on our toes. And, we all, I'd served for 34 years in the House of Delegates, and I know what every 2 years having competition, it makes you work harder. It makes you try more. And I was a great believer in town hall meetings. I would have two or three the week before the legislative session started. And listening to the public, I think, is critical. Getting their input, letting them know that even if you can't do anything, that you're still aware of their problems and concerns. And if things come up in the future, you're there to listen. So I commend you. Said I served with Carol Miller, sat right next to her for our final 2 years. And I think your coming forward helps to keep everybody on their toes working harder, whether you're successful or not. But having a series of town hall meetings, one in each county, would be a good way to reach out to the folks to make sure that they have a voice. And it, as I said, if when you see an aggressive campaign like that, it makes you try harder yourself. So that this is a win-win, I see, for the voters in the first district. I'm in the second district, so there's not much I can do, but I appreciate your taking the time and reaching out and having this sort of virtual Zoom town hall meeting. And I hope that you'll have many of them in person, one in each county, maybe.
yes, sir. Thank you for that. And I completely, wholeheartedly agree. I think that how can you represent the people if you're not out listening to the people? I'm not sure how that works. They go hand in hand. If you're just like you said, and thank you for your service. You were out meeting with the people, getting their concerns, so you were able to take their concerns back to the house with you. So, you know, in order to truly serve the people, you have, for one, you can't think you're above the people, and you have to be out listening to the people, taking their concerns, listening to them. And that's one thing that I absolutely intend to do. This won't be my last virtual town hall. I will be having them all throughout the first district throughout the summer and fall. We're getting those scheduled as we speak. And I'll be also doing these. These virtuals will probably be, I don't know, I'd like to have at least one a month just to check in with the people, let you know that, I'm still listening. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, so I would like to do one of these a month. So again, for me to represent you, I have to be listening to you.
I find what I enjoyed doing is that 5 hour trip from Martinsburg to Charleston. I would spend a lot of that time on the phone and surprise people. They'd call my office and want to have some concern, and I'd just catch them off guard when I was on the road and could have a nice 10 or 20, 5 or 10 minute conversation with them. And that was a good way to use the time when I was driving. So that, like you said, making sure that you're aware of what their concerns are is by listening. So I wish you the best luck, and if I'll make sure we get you one of these bumper stickers that matches up, I think, with us conservative Republicans' philosophy.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you've had to say. I thank you for your advice. I appreciate it greatly, more than you'll ever know. Um, if there's anything that I can do for you in the future, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll have Patrick give you my personal cell phone number. Reach out to me, or if you have any suggestions for me, reach out to me.
And John, we're going to need three of those bumper stickers because two other people in the messages, the chat asked for them as well.
Okay, I will
I'll
send.
make
I'll
sure.
put
I'll make sure
three
you
of
get
them.
to his address. We'll give them out to everybody once Larry gets them.
I'll put three of them in the mail tomorrow for you.
Awesome.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, Larry, if you want to finish up and wrap up, you can say goodbye, and then we'll call it a success.
Yes, again, I want to thank everybody for taking an hour of their evening and away from their families to spend here with me. Thank you, each and every one. It means a lot. I look forward to meeting you all. I'll do that here over the coming months. I'll meet each of you in person. I'll be hitting each county, especially throughout, of course, District 1, but I'll also venture off up into District 2 some and shake some hands and just meet some of you. But again, I thank you all for tuning in tonight. I do want to have these as time and stuff will allow throughout the summer. I would like to stay in touch with everyone and do at least one of these a month just to stay in touch. But I will be out on the road a lot throughout the coming months on the campaign trail. But again, thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to meeting you. I will get around to meeting each of you. I look forward to it. Again, if you can help me spread the word, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. You all have a good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Thank you all. Have a good night.